This video doesn't even need an intro. But what it do, YouTube? It is your boy, and I am back with another video, and it's a lot going on right now. The CDC did break down the quarantine from 10 days to 5, but there's still a few players on the Colts roster that won't be able to play due to potentially being tested positive with the virus. But Carson Wentz is one of those guys, our starting quarterback. He probably won't be able to play Sunday, so that might be a little tough for Indianapolis. But there are rumors speculating that they may make a visit or a phone call to a former QB that used to play for the Colts last year. Phillip Rivers, the veteran, the former Charger, lifelong player there. Played in Indianapolis last year, had a very good season. Unfortunately, it came to ending in Buffalo against the Bills. But I think he had a solid season. And, earlier in this year, before he didn't never really retire, he said he will leave the phone open for a team that is a contender and needs a quarterback in a desperate situation. And it looks like one of his former teams is in desperate need for a quarterback to play, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. The thought of process of trying to go get this guy out of the high school football locker room. He's a pretty good coach over there, but the thought process of going to get him is kind of crazy. Sam Ellinger doesn't really have film on him. He played a decent preseason, but throwing him in the fire against a team that's a contender for the playoff spot is a kind of a wild thing to do. But I kind of would trust the Sam Ellinger role more than Phillip Rivers. Why? Because this is the same situation we had last year, talking about lack of arm strength. Throwing the football down the field, and you're going to ask a guy that pretty much hung it up to come back and try to do the same thing, but he lacked arm strength. We get a guy like Carson Wentz that that is gutsy and go risk it and try to throw the football. It's just that Phillip Rivers' arm isn't strong enough to try to make those type of plays. Now, when you look at Sam Ellinger, you're probably like, oh, well, Sam Ellinger really doesn't have arm strength either. But to be honest, he does. He is a little bit mobile, and I think he can go make the extra play more than Phillip Rivers. Now, one thing we could say about Phillip Rivers is that he is a great playmaker and can adjust. One thing that is struggling with Carson Wentz is identifying the blitzes and making adjustments out of that. Credit to that, Phillip Rivers is a master at doing things like that. He is a veteran. He is a contender. He is a fighter. He is a competitor. He does all those things. So you're looking for a guy with killer instinct and that type of mentality to go win the game and understand what the defenses are doing. I say go get Phillip Rivers, especially. I agree. And then another thing I thought about in this process of Phillip Rivers is that you got a guy like him coming into the team, right? So he's coming into the team fresh off the couch, of course, coaching as well. But you bring him in, and then you see Frank Reich of what he's doing the whole season. The whole season, he's been getting better and better with the team and the gameplay designs and all these things moving forward towards the season. You have a defense who's playing out of their mind right now. So Phillip Rivers comes in and does what he does last season. Everyone's starting to catch their stride. You got Michael Pittman Jr. figuring it out. Jonathan Taylor's exploding. We hand the ball off to him. He does his thing. Paris Campbell's rumored to be coming back soon. And Phillip Rivers never really played with Paris Campbell, so that might be an extra bonus. But the offensive line is banged up. So that's a huge question. You're going to bring a veteran guy who's pretty much up with age to come in with no offensive line. It's pretty much going to be looking like a disaster what he's seen when he played for the Chargers, because he had no offensive line there. And he had a terrible season. So I wouldn't really bring Phillip Rivers into this situation currently of what we got. Like I said, I'll probably just ride it out with Sam Ellinger. He won't be in for the rest of the season. Now, granted, of course, we know that the playoffs are at stake, but we're going to go sign a guy for a couple of million. It'd probably just be a waste of time, in my opinion. Now, if you're bringing him in to, for this game, and then he could probably mentor Sam Ellinger and Carson Wentz, that's a different story. Because I'm definitely all in for him being on the sideline and, telling Carson Wentz, hey, this, or you missed this, or you do that. Maybe he might tell Carson about those underneath routes that he's always missing. So there's always a plus minus in a certain situation like this when it comes to, what are the Colts going to do when it comes to this situation that our starters is not going to play, especially a quarterback, which is probably the most important position on the field. But definitely It's going to be a tongue twister. It's going to be a situation that we need to figure out as a team. Of course, news is going to break at the end of the week. What are we going to do? Of course, it's probably going to be Sam Ellinger, but I will not be opposed of bringing in Phillip Rivers. If he does do it, he has beat the Raiders before. I wouldn't be surprised. But, his last year in Indianapolis, it wasn't that bad of a year. 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He got sacked 19 times, but he had a pretty decent season. I will definitely give him that. The Colts schedule for the rest of the year is going to be an interesting one. We got the Raiders and then the Jaguars. The Jaguars are pretty much looking for a new coach. You guys know that they're looking for Eberflus. They got a lot of candidates in their conversations for that. But we got to play the Raiders next. Two teams looking for something to figure it out to try to make the contention for the playoffs. We're both on the brink, but the Raiders have just had a roller coaster year just like us, but we're pretty much on a hot streak right now. So we will talk more about that later, but you guys let me know in the comment section about this whole situation with the quarterbacks, Carson Wentz not being able to probably play Sunday. But you let me know about Phillip Rivers and Sam Ellinger situation. This is Marcus, and until next time, you've been Culture Sharp.